Before we start, a disclaimer. I am not certified to offer any sort of career advice, and whatever I talk about in this video is for informational purposes only. It will take more than a 5 or 10 minute YouTube video to fully talk about video game careers, so consider this to be a tiny introduction. Still, this tiny introduction has two parts. This has actually been a bad year to consider pursuing a career in the video game industry, since a lot of companies have been laying off people throughout the year. This is not too surprising because 2023 has been bad for tech companies of all kinds, and video game studios are essentially software companies. But this doesn't mean that pursuing a career in this industry is a bad idea, because downtimes are common in all sectors. So how exactly does one make money in this industry? Well, I have narrowed it down to two categories. You can make money either by selling games or by playing games. All the various job roles you might have heard of will fall into one of these two broad buckets. In this video, we will talk about the first category, which is selling games. You can sell games by either developing them yourself, working for a studio that makes them, or by setting up a retail store that sells games made by other companies. Making games involves the process of game development, a subject that is so vast and complex that I can't hope to cover it entirely in my tiny videos. But as someone learning game development, I hope to share more of what I learn in the near future. But just to introduce this field, pursuing a career in game development involves specializing in one or more roles required in the process of making games. Over here you can see some of the most common roles in the industry, and each of these requires a specific set of skills that you can either learn on your own or go to a college and get a full degree. Either way, you will have to demonstrate practical examples of your skills before getting a job in a game studio. Or you can use these skills to build your own indie studio and attempt to release your own games, which is not exactly a walk in the park. I may not be able to tell you much about game development myself, but if you would like to see people who have already spent years making games talk about this subject, I would highly recommend that you take a look at the No Clip YouTube channel, which has an excellent set of documentaries showcasing how some well-known games were made. In particular, the series on Hades is a good starting point. Apart from that, I would also recommend two amazing documentary series released by Double Fine Productions covering the making of two of their games, Broken Age and Psychonauts 2. The second series, called Psych Odyssey, has 32 episodes and is like a crash course in understanding the life cycle of a video game and how an experienced team handles it in an ever-changing world. If making games isn't your cup of coffee, but you still want to be part of the process, there are quite a few support roles without which the industry simply wouldn't function. A few of the departments containing such roles are now displayed on the screen, and you will notice that these departments are open to people from other industries as well. All you need is a willingness to adapt your skills to the world of video games. Like most other industries, education is also a proven career path in the video game market. If you're good at teaching and have the relevant skills in one of the core areas of game development, then there's always a large group of people willing to learn. Running courses or becoming a certified trainer will not only give you a stable income, but also help other people get started in this industry. And yes, some people have built very successful careers using this path. Now let's talk about the literal process of selling games, which is through a store. Sadly, the traditional format of running a retail store that sells video game discs and other merchandise is on its way out. There are a small handful of companies still doing it, but anyone who wants to start such a company now would simply be wasting a lot of money. The only decent retail format right now is probably running gaming cafes. Even here, the bulk of the revenue comes from non-gaming sources such as food and beverages and running tournaments. In short, be very careful in pursuing any sort of retail idea involving video games because the risks have never been higher. That wraps up this tiny introduction about pursuing a career in selling video games. Once you add in the complexities of selling games across multiple platforms in multiple countries, there's a lot to process, but the rewards are also quite high. We will continue exploring other career options in part 2. Thanks for watching and see you in the next episode.